Hello! In this iPad tutorial, I want to show you how to create an identification screen for your iPad. So if you are ever in a location where you misplace your iPad or set it down, for example, in a training with a lot of people around, someone finds it, they can turn it on, and on the lock screen it actually has an identification screen on it so that they know immediately who the iPad belongs to. This takes a little bit of work, but I think you'll see in the end, number one, that it's worth it to have that identifier on immediately when your iPad turns on, but also really it's not that bad. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a document or something that gives me some identification. So I've cheated. I'm using PowerPoint, so I'll pull up PowerPoint, and I've already got a slide made. I just used an existing theme that's in PowerPoint and added the text that I wanted. You can add anything in here, personalize it by putting in a picture, adding more contact information, whatever you'd like to do. The trick is I need to make this slide a picture that I can then take to my iPad. So what I'm going to do is go to my File menu in PowerPoint, and I'm going to say Save as Pictures. When I do that, it pops up and says, where do you want to save this? I'm going to throw it to my desktop, and I'm going to call it iPad ID for iPad identification. The format is good. A JPEG will work perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and say Save. And a message pops up that tells me that there's going to be a folder that saves my slides as images. I go ahead and say OK. And now I need to figure out a way to get that image to my iPad. I'm going to use the tried and true method. I'm going to email it to myself. There are lots of different ways that you can share files amongst your computer and your iPad. So this is just one example. For those of you that aren't familiar with different ways to share, watch for tutorials to come along. So I'm going to go ahead and address this to myself, and I'll just put iPad picture on here. I don't need to do that, but I'll go ahead and attach the file. I've saved it to my desktop, so I need to go to my desktop. And there's that slide. So I'm attaching that file, and I'm going to go ahead and click Send. I'm done with my email on my computer, so now I'm going to jump to my iPad, and I'm going to check my email on my iPad. I actually have 2 email accounts in here, so I have to make sure that I'm not in my Gmail, which I am. So I'm going to come over here and click on my BPS email. Aha, I have a new message. You can see that right there. So I'm going to tap on that, and I've got my attachment right here. So I can actually press and hold on that attachment, and notice my choice saved to camera roll. So I'm going to click on that. Now that image is saved to my camera roll, so I can get out of my email and go to my photos. My photos are located in my folder called Photography and in my app called Photos. When I look at my collection of photos, you can see the last photo that I brought in is that identification picture. So I'm going to tap on that to bring it up full screen. And I have a menu up at the top of my iPad that you can't see right now, but it's the Edit, Share, Delete options. I'm going to go ahead and click on that Share or Save option, which again is that rectangle with the arrow coming out of it. One of my choices is to use as wallpaper. So I'm going to go ahead and say Use as Wallpaper. My 2 choices up at the top of my screen, I can either set the lock screen or set the home screen. If I set the lock screen, that's the first thing that anybody's going to see when they turn my computer on. So I'm going to go ahead and say Set Lock Screen. Now you can see when anybody has my iPad and they turn it on, the first thing they're going to see is an identification screen with my contact information.